Welcome to Inspire West Michigan, the podcast that celebrates the visionaries, change makers, and business leaders shaping our region. Whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, emerging leader, or curious community member, Inspire West Michigan delivers content that informs, uplifts, and empowers. In each episode, we'll go behind the scenes with local CEOs, presidents, and entrepreneurs to uncover the stories, strategies, and values that drive their success and inspire our communities. From Grand Haven to Grand Rapids and beyond, this is Inspire West Michigan. Let's dig in. Today, we're joined by Maggie Malone, Superintendent of West Michigan Academy of Arts and Academics. Throughout her career, Maggie has been committed to continuous improvement, focusing on strengthening school culture, developing future leaders, and creating opportunities that help educators and students thrive. Thanks for joining me today, Maggie.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here.
Yeah, it's so nice to get together with the leaders in our community and learn about their journey. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about yours and share that with our audience. So we certainly could dig right in and talk about the Academy, but I'd like to start a little further back. So let's start with your childhood and your first introduction to the arts and how that has played a role in where you went from there.
Sure. So I grew up one of those kids statistically that we would say were at risk and really should not be successful because of the challenges in poverty, broken home. But my mom was just amazing. And my mom had a real love of music. She, prides herself on not being able to carry a tune except in a bucket and on the radio.
That would be me, by the way.
Yes, you could be a relative.
Yeah, there you go.
But she just really had this love of music, and she had these beautiful albums that she would play of orchestral music that would tell stories. And I remember even in the chaos of my childhood, just being riveted by this music and this melody that would just transport me to another place where it felt happy and it felt safe.
Oh.
And so to me, it was a real shining moment of my childhood that really had a lifelong impact on me and where I went. And so I remember that from a very young age. And then when I was about 4 years old, I got a toy guitar. It was plastic. It was purple and yellow.
Oh my God.
It's interesting, but I remember that vividly. And my mom says I actually could play recognizable songs.
Wow.
Which I know, like, who does that? I don't know. But it was great.
She's like, my daughter is brilliant.
I know. Look at this 4-year-old, on this plastic guitar. And then when I was 7, the whole family chipped in and got me a real guitar. And then, I got music lessons and just really took off from there, a love of music, and it grew. My dream, was everyone has a dream when they're a kid. My dream was to be in a parade. I just thought that was the coolest thing, because, wow, all these people are there to see you, and it's just awesome. And so, but I knew the guitar would not get me there.
Mm-hmm. No, people don't generally march in a parade with a guitar.
I mean, they may or may not be able to hear you, just saying, because it was not an electric. But, so one of the neighbors in the neighborhood that went to our church had a clarinet that was old. I mean, it had a lot of problems. It literally was held together with tape and rubber bands. But she said if I wanted to use it, that I could. She gave me a few free lessons to kind of give me the lowdown of how it all worked. And so I guess
Did it come pretty easily to you?
It did. I don't know. I guess I was musically inclined, but
clearly.
Also I think nothing replaces hard work and effort.
Yeah.
And so then I got to be in the band in junior high and realized that dream as a 7th grader in the Dwight Rich Junior High marching band. I got to march as a bear, Dwight Rich bear. And so that was awesome.
That is awesome. Where is Dwight? Where did you grow up?
Lansing,
Lansing.
Michigan.
Okay. Very good. So when it came time, you continued to play through high school
Yes,
and in the marching band
yes,
and things like that.
I was the drum major.
You were, oh, very nice.
Conductor.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So when it came time and all, the kids were looking at what they were going to do after high school, what did that look like for you?
For me, I knew that I didn't want the life that I had. I saw how hard my mom worked and the struggles that she had, and I knew I didn't want that for myself. And I knew that the way to change that was education. And I knew that we didn't have money, and no one in my family had gone to college, so I was the first one to go to college. I knew that I needed a scholarship, and I knew that I had this musical talent and that would be a way that could help me. And so teachers really, for me, were that support that I had going through school. I don't know, maybe they saw something in me, maybe I had a curiosity, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But they really helped guide me and coach me and kind of take me under their wing, as well as my mom and our family just in general, really helping us figure out how to apply. And as a musician, too, you also have the complexity of having to audition.
Yeah.
And so as somebody who was not taking lessons, having to prepare music, and then also know what to play. My high school band director, Mr. Amel Island, was really just pivotal in supporting that role and helping me and our family and his wife as well. Just really figuring out and navigating that.
It's so much to navigate. I mean, take the auditions and the music performance side of it, aside, just understanding how the college application process works and where you would look to go to school and all of that is a lot to navigate, particularly as the first in your family to go to college. I can only imagine.
Yes, it was definitely a lot, but lots of help. I feel like it's interesting in life how help presents itself when you're ready for it, and I feel like God was really looking out for me, with that, providing guidance and mentors and caring adults, which to me, school was always a safe place and a place that I felt supported. And so when that choice came, and I ended up working in a school, to me, just that paying it forward weighs heavily on me, because I would not be where I am today if it hadn't been for the kindness of others and people like educating and taking time to really invest and help develop me. And as a result, my family now, the people who've gone after me, they've all been able to have the opportunity to go to college and have a different life. And so for me, one person really can make a change. And so if you are wondering if you can make a difference, you do. And people are watching you. And so just continue down your path and stay courageous and keep doing whatever life has coming at you right now, and stay the course, because someone's watching and you are paving a way for someone else who's observing you that you probably don't even realize is watching you.
And that there are people out there to help you if you're open to receive that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you got into college. Where did you go to school and what program were you in?
I went to Michigan State. I did my undergrad in music education and clarinet performance. It was a great experience for me. I really loved it there. There were lots of classes that were really large and had hundreds of people in them, and you kind of feel a little bit lost. But being a music major was unique in that I had a private lessons teacher. So you declare a major instrument, and then that teacher is with you through your entire career. And so I did have that guiding star for me, which was my clarinet professor, Frank L. And then just really kind of staying with you to help you, encourage you, and then you also have counselors. But to me, it was really important. And then you're also part of a smaller college, a smaller school within a school. And then playing in those musical ensembles. You're really a team, and you matter, and people are depending on you, and so you can't like do things like maybe some other people do, like skip class.
Right,
Like you can't,
exactly.
because then your
No.
part's missing.
Right, right. It's the ultimate teamwork experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I went to Michigan State as well, and that was my experience too. Being in, declaring a major and being in one of the colleges. It takes this giant university and scales it back so that those of us that are from smaller communities and high school and things like that, it's not quite so daunting.
Yes.
And then just surround yourself by good people and be open to help, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So you majored in music education and performance. Did you see yourself as a performer in the future? Was that the end game?
That's a very interesting question. I did see myself as a performer. To me, my high school band director, Mr. Island, would always say to me, Maggie, you got to have a backup. What if something happens to you? I'm like, something happens to me? What are you talking about? And but I did what he said, because I figured, hey, he's further along in this journey than me. He's wise. So I listened to him and I did the education thing because I just planned to perform. Yeah. I was a clarinet major. My specialty was E-flat clarinet, and I was fortunate at 18 years old to be getting gigs to sub with the symphony and play on recordings and do studio work. So to me, I was like, education was just really the furthest thing from my mind, even though I had had such a great experience. But by the time I finished my bachelor's degree, I was so tired of being broke. I mean, just like, can I go get this pizza? Can I buy this pop for myself right now? Oh, that wallet's looking a little bleak. I don't think so. And so I just was tired of school and just needed a break, because I had planned to go directly on to do my master's degree in clarinet performance. And I took a break and taught. And I got a job teaching middle school band at Pattongill Middle School, PMS, the band with an attitude. Own it.
Oh my gosh,
right?
that is an awesome tagline.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make that up.
No, you can't.
But yeah, and I found myself pushing that degree off more further and further into the future. And then finally one day just having to have an honest conversation with myself and acknowledge the fact that I really loved teaching. I loved being with kids. I loved the impact that it had. I loved teaching kids that thing that helped me get through those tough times. To me, that was just really a phenomenal experience. And so finally admitting that, and this education thing was kind of great, and I kind of loved it. Yeah. And realizing that that really is the most important work that you can do. And so embracing that and pushing that degree off, but starting it slowly, not with the intent that I thought that I would have.
Yeah. And that probably changed the degree that you were getting too, because you were going to get a master's degree in performance, and that changed that over to one in education.
Yeah. So ironically, that thing that Mr. Island was telling me about, like, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Like, you need to have a backup plan. And for me, education was the backup plan. But yeah, I had a situation trauma where I was mauled by a dog, and I sustained like long-term sensory damage in my lower lip.
And this is while you were teaching, and had started your teaching band, and while you had started your master's degree slowly.
Yeah, in performance. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up losing that ability, and to me, like, one of my core values is students deserve the best, and so to me, like, having that really hard conversation with myself of, okay, is this the thing that I can do? Am I still bringing my best? And one of my students showed up that knew what happened. And this was when I had come back from being off a long-term leave from that injury. And she asked me to help her with the piece, and she played trombone, and I played it on piano, and I was singing with her. And she said, Miss M, my sister said, you should play the trombone with me.
Oh, goodness.
And I said, honey, your sister's right. I said, but you know what happened, and I can't do it. So let's try it this way.
Yeah.
And so we did. And then I laughed and I bawled. I sobbed. I was devastated, because to me it was that moment.
Right. For you, it wasn't good enough.
Right. And so then making that decision to step back. and then to go into administration. And so Michigan State was really gracious. They helped me get as many credits as I could transferred into a degree in administration.
Okay.
And then, so I then finished my master's degree in K-12 administration, which, helped me discover another skill I have. I think that life is just a series of opportunities, and sometimes you walk through the door and sometimes you pass, right?
Yeah.
And while I thought that my true love was music and teaching music, to me, after like having time to reflect and really kind of peel back those layers, I really learned about myself that my true passion, my true love was making a difference. And to me, that was my vehicle.
Yeah, that was at the core of all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, like embracing that and then moving forward, and how can I impact change, but now on a different level? Because you can impact more students in leadership. And then you also not just impact the students, but you also have new students, the adults who you serve in your leadership role. And so that was a transition for me. Sometimes it was hard, but making that discovery about myself really became empowering and gave me a new passion and a new fuel in my tank to fire the work and to keep going.
Well, and the great thing is you can still do the other things. You are still doing the other things. It just all rolls up to this sort of higher level position where you're having a greater impact on a larger number of people. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, and what I love about your story, even just as far as we've gotten, is that you have experienced all of those things. You knew what it was like to be a student in need. You knew what it was like, to be a teacher and to reach that point where you weren't sure, if you should continue doing that. And then you went through the door that was opened for you.
And I feel very fortunate because I did have the opportunity to teach K through 12. So I did have significant teaching at all levels. So I feel like what you're saying, like having a deep understanding of an organization and then to be able to have building level experience as an administrator at all of those levels as well has really helped inform my leadership in central office. That's really been helpful. And I feel like as a leader, if you're not connected to direct instruction, like if you're not always reminding yourself what that's like, it's really easy to get disconnected from your purpose and what you're doing. And so always making a point of staying connected to that work is really important.
I think that's true of really any role, right? I mean, certainly, as an administrator, it's important to understand how the teachers and the students and what they're dealing with. But it's true for any role. Anytime you find yourself in leadership, to know how to do or what's happening in all of the roles that you are responsible for managing is a really key to understanding and being able to make change that's meaningful.
I completely agree with you. Yes.
And I think that we do still find leaders that sort of leap to leadership without taking all of those steps. And, it's important to take those steps.
Yes. And in education, I will say educators can be the best audience, but they can also be the most cruel because they can smell fake, from a mile away. So if you really haven't come up through the classroom, they know. And they are not always kind about it.
Yeah.
So to be able to have experience and to move forward is, and I think best interest in any organization, for the reasons that you said, for being able to provide support, for deeply understanding the work so that you can be more effective when you are making decisions and when you are considering changing.
Yeah. So, you earned your master's degree.
Yes.
And what was your first role on the education administration side?
I was a high school assistant principal at the time. And while I was doing my master's degree, because the laws were changing at that time where you weren't necessarily required to have a degree, it was encouraged, but you weren't required to do that. So I was doing that alongside of doing the actual work, which was good and it was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because sometimes college professors haven't always really done the thing that they're teaching. And so
Perfect example of what we just talked about.
exactly. Yeah. So sometimes what they're teaching doesn't always align with current day practice.
Sure.
And so there were some challenges with that, but you know, we worked through it and everybody came out
Yeah.
with everything that they needed. So it was good.
Well, I mean, working while doing your degree is challenging just on its own. I mean, but there are good things I can see, you know, in that what you're learning is applicable immediately. You know exactly how you're going to apply what you're learning. It also means that you can sniff out those things that you're like, not gonna,
Fake news.
fake news. That's fantastic. So, So as an assistant principal, were there things that surprised you moving into that role versus being a teacher that gave you either a new respect for the teachers or a new respect for the administrators, but those things that surprised you moving into that type of role?
Yes, that's a great question. For myself, I, as a teacher, being a band director, like you're the first one there, you're the last one to leave. You have a lot of outside events. You have parent groups that you're managing and working with. You have all these outside organizations. When I was a high school band director, I had a band staff that I managed, and it's a big job. You have uniforms, you have inventory, you have just a lot to do. And so my perception of myself was I was a good teacher. You know, my groups went to performances. They got first division ratings. They were recognized. We got a lot of media attention. Students were having positive experience. They were signing up. Parents seemed happy with what was going on in the classroom. So to me, I felt successful as an educator, and I assumed that all other educators were the same as me. And so then when I got into administration and I started pushing into other people's classrooms and having to evaluate them and provide support for them and manage them, the cruel reality of not everyone is like I was. Not everyone is working at that level. Not everybody is preparing their lesson plans and really individualizing for every single student. Because, you know, on a standardized test, if you get 60%, you know, okay, that's not great, or even if you get 80, but if you're a band director and if even 10% of your students play the wrong notes, you're probably not going to have a job again.
Right.
And so like that intensity of really having to figure it out and provide whatever support that child needs to be able to master that content is critical. And so when you're in another every teacher is valuable, and I believe every teacher matters, but not everybody has that intensity of really driving down and drilling down to each child like that, where you're really pushing them. But for me, I didn't have that luxury. So coming to terms with that, and then how can I take what I learned from teaching in the way that I did and help others, you know, ramp up their rigor, improve their intensity? How do you like scaffold and plan for all different kinds of learners? And, you know, since then we've come out with terms like differentiation and all of those things. And so I think education as a whole profession has evolved into that direction. That's a good word.
I mean, you being a music performer, you certainly were up against constant criticism and, you know, truly this theory of continuous improvement. Not everyone is built for that kind of feedback.
Very true.
What did how did your music performance background play into how you approached the teachers in your charge, helping them to understand how that could make them, that type of feedback could help them keep them open to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a performer, I was performing every day, whether it was practice or rehearsal or actual gigs from 8 to 12 hours every day.
Oh my goodness.
And so it is quite reflective, critical, like, cause you're always like, your whole purpose is to try to be better.
Yeah.
And so when you learn to just really be wired that way. And so every single thing, no matter how good it is or how polished it is, could always be better. And so
and not just better as an individual, better as a team.
Absolutely.
And so that changes your perspective too.
Because it's both.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to function at a high level individually,
right,
and
then understand,
as a group.
Understand how your teammates are reacting to your improvements or things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I think as a leader, you learn about yourself as you progress in your journey. And so I remember, because I've since had other jobs where I've managed over 200 people, direct reports in 45 public and 38 non-public schools. And so having those conversations where you're face to face with people and just saying, hey, are you open to feedback? And then having them say yes. And so to me, like, I can go deep in the feedback. I can give you like
yes
one
means
thing.
Something different to different people.
Yes. Yeah. And so I learned to like watch their eyes, because there reaches a point where people kind of disengage and they shut down. And so I learned that that's too much. When I would see that, and I would stop giving them ideas and suggestions. And it was never done through a critical lens. It was always done from a, hey, have you ever thought?
Right.
You know, so I learned to just focus on one or two things. So like, what is the most high leverage comment, feedback, strategy I can share with you that's going to be the most impactful with whatever it is your role is? And so really focusing on that. And then people who are high performers crave that. And a lot of times if someone is good, we just kind of let them be, oh, well, you're not having problems, so I'm just going to and I'll focus my time over here with someone who's really struggling. And that person does need support, but that high performer needs just as much support and craves it.
Yes.
Because
they really thrive to be better.
Exactly. Yeah. And so to me, I really understood that feeling because I had felt that same way. And so really making sure that no matter who I was giving feedback to, that I always had something substantive and meaningful for them. You know, even if it was, hey, you know what, when I was in your lesson, I noticed that you were doing ABC. Hey, you know what, I noticed over here in this book or whatever it was, ABC over here. Have you ever thought about combining them? And they just get so like excited.
Yeah.
And so to me, I feel like, you know, you have to meet people where they're at. You have to have plan. You have to have an overall idea of what is the vision for whatever it is for this content. What is the goal? What are we hoping students get out of it? And then how can you help them? And to transition to administration, you know, what is the culture if I'm working with principals in a building or, you know, what does that look like for their building? Like, what does a healthy culture and climate of a building look like? How, and when I'm in there doing an observation, what does that look like? What is that one thing that if they could really figure out would really dramatically improve the outcomes for their students? And so to me, just really wrapping my brain around that. I had to do a little internal adjustment. But now I feel like that's been a real benefit for me as a leader to be able to have that experience in that practice room all those years. Who would have ever thought this would be the outcome? But hey, it happened.
It happens. Our road is never straight.
No, it is not. It's very curvy and windy, and sometimes there's a lot of detours.
Yes. That curve ahead that you can't see around.
Yeah, the one that says slow down, caution.
That's funny. So you talked about being in a role where you were managing, you know, over 200 people and multiple schools in your charge and things like that. How was that experience different from your experience as an assistant principal, just having one school and group of teachers under you? What did you take from that sort of smaller level experience to this higher level position of leadership?
Okay. I'm going to answer your question, but I just want to be clear that
Yes.
I didn't manage those buildings.
Okay.
I managed people in those
Sure.
buildings. So just wanted to
Yes,
make
fair.
that distinction in
Thank you.
case anyone's listening.
Yes.
And yeah, so the skills that I learned when I was that high school assistant principal, to me were very similar as I transitioned to working with people in multiple buildings and working with many more staff members. To me, those soft skills of having that face-to-face conversation about, to me, you can't be afraid to go into a place. To me, in my career, like I feel like I love kids. Like I feel like all kids deserve the best. And so to me, I would always go into that place that nobody else wanted to go. Well, and so to me, like as a teacher, as an administrator, okay, well, nobody wants to put me there.
Yeah.
I voluntarily displaced myself to be able to go into some of those places to make sure that the needs of those kids in that climate were being met.
Yeah.
So having that experience, being able to help anybody wherever you're at, because again, like you said earlier, knowing those different layers of the organization, it's the same work, it's just different, right?
Yeah.
The same skills, the same coaching, the same conversations, the same hard work, it's the same. And then when I managed a lot of people in many different buildings, not only did I go in and help the teacher, but then I also helped the building leader, right? Like sit down and have, hey, how are they doing? How are things going? Talk to me about, any concerns that you're having. Is there anything that you'd like to see? Like, let's talk about it. And then coaching them too in how they can help support and manage that person more effectively, helping them build their toolbox to get more strategies that they can use, not just with that person that maybe I came in to support, but they can use it with other people that are in their buildings too.
Yeah.
So to me, I think all of that's important. And then that central office role is so important, because also, again, like having gone through different layers of an organization it just makes you more able to talk about different problems in different situations and provide ideas and suggestions.
Right.
And then like sit down, have an informal conversation. Not everything needs to be evaluative. How can you help? How can you serve? And I think that that's really important. As a leader, you are a servant first. It's not about you.
Right.
It's about whatever.
Helping to set those in your charge up for success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's the mission of your organization? How are you facilitating that in every single layer of the organization? What does that look like? How do you move forward with that?
Yeah. And the greater the number of people, it doesn't, it just exponentially had those problems or those challenges are just exponentially larger, similar.
Absolutely.
Just more of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why like visioning is so important and really leading by example, right? I would never ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself.
Visioning is an important tool because it gives everyone that touchstone, right? That filter by which to run things through. Does this all lead up to the ultimate goal?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned to me in our conversation leading up to our interview today that you have a motto, find a way, make a way. Am I saying that correct?
Yes, you are.
Yes. So I loved that. Tell me what that means to you and how that's played out in your leadership roles.
So to me, find a way, make a way is like you're going to get obstacles. You're going to get opposition. And like, is the thing that you're doing really worth it? And if it is, then you have to figure it out. You have to find a way. And if there isn't one, you have to make a way. Yeah. And so it's played out a lot of ways. But one example is, as a leader, we all have to be reflective. And when I was in a position where I was managing those 200 direct reports, I found when I started that my staff retention rate was about 60%. And so every year I was having to rehire and retrain 40%.
So much work.
It's a tremendous amount of work.
And disruption.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And ultimately, like kids are suffering, right? So we want to make sure that everybody has a better and an easier time. So to me, I wanted to know, why are they leaving?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Like, is it a deficit in me? Are you not feeling supported? Like, what is it? And so talking with everybody who left, I learned that a lot of them had moved to our area to be able to work there, and they missed their family. They didn't have any friends, and so they were lonely.
Yeah.
And so to me, number one, that broke my heart. It made me sad for
Yeah.
anybody to feel that way. But then two, like, upon reflecting, okay, well, is that my job? No, it's not my job, but that's my team, and I'm
Right,
responsible for
right.
them.
And they feel
so
lonely in a group of people,
I
in a room of
know.
people.
I know, working with other people all day long.
Yeah,
like,
but I can see that. You know,
Yeah.
I can see how there's something missing there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what can I do? There's a scripture that is in Mark, and it's called "Be the Light." And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, how does this? What could I do? You know, to help this? Well, it's not my job, but I'm a human being. They're human beings. So from a humanistic standpoint, how could we help each other to make this better? And so the "Be the Light." At the time, I was the director of fine arts.
Okay.
And so I created the fine arts light, because sometimes you need to be the light for somebody else, but sometimes you need the light for yourself.
Yeah.
And so we created Fine Arts Light. We met twice a month at 6 a.m. Yep, that's a.m., not p.m., where people would just come together. We met at a local restaurant, and it was done like an open house. And it was just a time where you could come. And, you know, education
And
is
be
tough.
with your people outside of the classroom, outside of the
Yes.
school, to get to know one another. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And so we would come together, and people, if they were having trouble, and if you've been working for 30 days or 30 years, you all get that one thing, that one student, that one problem that you just can't figure out. And so just being able to talk to people collegially that can give you feedback, that are doing the same thing, because I feel like education is that one thing that everybody thinks they know about because everyone went to school. But it's different when you actually work in it. So to talk to people that can actually help you with your challenges. And so it started off where people would, you know, talk about problems, but then it just ended up sharing these stories and just these deep belly laughs. And then people would come and just roaring laughter, and it was so awesome. And so it became, I mean, people showed up, even people that were not morning people. We normally had over a dozen people at this informal, not required breakfast. And then our staff retention rate increased. And we had a waiting list on our team. And it went from people just, you know, moving and moving on, to people that when they would leave, they would be very emotional because they were so sad, and say things like, "This is more like a family. I never thought a job could be like this. I'm so sad to be leaving." And so it really flipped the script, and it also gave the team a real sense of belonging and connectedness and value. And I feel like everybody wakes up in the morning and they wanna be good. They wanna make a difference. No matter what job you have, as human beings, we all want that.
Sure.
We need that. That's why we're here. We're here to help each other. And so providing an avenue and like really empowering people to do that, I think is amazing. And when you can figure that out for your business,
well,
no
and
matter
I
what
mean,
it
we're
is,
all herd animals, right? We like
Yes,
to
we
be
are.
together, and, you know, giving people the okay to be together, to have those sideline conversations and all of that. It's really valuable. We gain a lot from those peer networks that, you know, they aren't necessarily natural. Sometimes you have to create that. And
Absolutely.
sounds like you did, and it's pretty, I mean, it seems like a very simple thing, right? Get together with each other, talk about it, but you have to create that opportunity. That's really neat. Very, very neat. So COVID impacted everyone's business, schools alike. I don't even begin to understand how schools had to just, you know, pivot in an instant to a learning experience far outside of what any of us had ever had. How did COVID impact you as an administrator?
So COVID was a really challenging time. And if you think about it, at the time, I was overseeing fine arts, so music,
Yeah.
art. I mean, it's very difficult to do any meaningful musical activity online. So for me, managing all those people, I mean, districts and all businesses were afraid. They
Yes.
weren't sure how long this was going to last, what bottom line budget implications would be a result from this. And so the district I was working in, which all districts were, they were concerned and they were starting to lay staff off and, require administrators to make reductions. So to me, again, being in the arts area, we also are that social emotional component for our students. Also,
Like, here's an opportunity where it could make such a difference, and yet
right.
it was so difficult to bring that to them.
Absolutely. And I felt very passionately during that time that our kids really needed us. Like, this is the time above all the other times. Like, you need to have that healthy expression of emotion.
Yes.
You need to feel connected to people. You need to be able to express yourself and your feelings and have people that know you. And so, like, if you have an art teacher, that art teacher, if you're in a K-8 school, you've had that same art teacher all of those 9 years.
Right.
Where if you're a classroom teacher,
They know you better than any other teacher you have.
absolutely. And while the classroom teacher is very valuable and very important, they don't have that depth of connection that that art teacher would have with that child. And so we did a few things. I got called in by our CFO at the time and was told that I had to reduce my staff. And I made my case like, hey, they really need us. And they said, well, everybody's being directed to cut 50% of their staff. I'm like, okay, well, how much do I need to get? Like, how much do you need me to cut so I can keep my people, because the kids need them.
Right.
You know?
Again, what's the core issue?
Right. And to me, like, I would walk from my job to keep them. Like, what number do you need me to get to? Oh, it's not about that, Maggie. I said, okay. And so I went back to my office, and I was also at the time on all 6 of our contract negotiation teams. So I deeply knew the contracts and the financial cost for each of the additional things that staff got paid for. So I went back and I thought, I was reflective. I'm like, okay, what can we cut? And so I made a whole spreadsheet of like the item, what it was, what the cost was. Did we need an agreement with our union, or is it something that as an administrator, I just had control over and just needed support of the people above me? And so I did this whole work, and I evidenced over $1 million in reductions. And I went back and I gave him the sheet, and he looked at it and he said, "Did you do this?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Is it enough?
Yeah.
Is it enough?" And he said, "Maggie," he said, "nobody else could do this but you." I said, "But is it enough?
Yeah.
Can I keep my people? Like, the kids need us. Like, we,
Yeah.
what else? What else do you need me to do?" And he said, "You can keep your people."
That's
And
awesome.
so to me, like, during that time, it was so important, because those were those sustained relationships for the kids that they had. And then we also volunteered. We worked preparing lunches and breakfasts, because our kids that had food insecurity needed help. They needed food. And so we volunteered. Our fine arts team volunteered, and every Wednesday we would be at food service helping prepare those meals and bag those up so our kids could get food. And that was just our way of trying to, like, help,
What an amazing accomplishment, though, to be able to have the perspective, to have you had the point of view that allowed you to have all that information and be able to find a way.
Yep, find a way and make a way.
Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
important.
So at some point, you made a decision to leave that role and to take advantage of an opportunity that was presented to you at West Michigan Academy of Arts and Academics. What helped you to make that decision? Where were you in life that felt like the next best move for you?
So to me, I feel like great leadership, it's not how you start, always it's how you finish.
Yeah.
And so to me, I retired from traditional public with 37 years. And
It's a long time.
it is, but to me, I had to get my team ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I had to stay there for that amount of time to be able to set them up to be successful.
Yeah.
Because great leaders don't think about today, they think about tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this going to look like when I leave? How am I setting up this organization?
Is it sustainable?
Yeah. Because if you really love what you do and you really love the people that work for you, which I have loved every single job that I've ever had, even when I was back working at McDonald's, like to me, I care. Like I care about the success and the continuation of that work. I mean, I spent all that time on it. It was important to me.
Right.
I value that.
But it had to be important to those people in order for it to be
Right.
successful, which means, and sustainable, which means that it had to really, truly meet the core needs. You know, the
Yes.
solutions had to meet the problem.
Absolutely.
So it's, in order to be sustainable, it has to be much bigger than just your idea.
Absolutely. And so to me, I felt like I had done that. I had created systems and had systems in place. District-wide, a lot of our systems that we had used on our fine arts team were replicated throughout other departments. And then things that we did were modified and used for other roles and other positions, which to me is the ultimate compliment. But also I had the opportunity to really like train the people that worked for me, created a leadership structure within our team, and had a library of systems and processes worked. And so then I felt that they could sustain my absence. And nothing is ever the same when you have a leadership change.
No, everyone's going to bring their unique flavor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I felt like I had done all I could do to set them up to continue the work, should they choose or if the next leader wanted to change it. But I felt that I had done what I needed to do in my time there, and I could step back.
You could
and
release yourself.
Yeah, and it was really hard. I mean, because when you are really invested, it's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's like giving your babies away, you know? You just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be dramatic when I say that. And I
No.
don't really mean give your baby away, but
No, I understand.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
difficult.
Change is difficult. And particularly when you're as emotionally and invested, you know,
Yes.
as you clearly are in the work you do and the people that you serve. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I've obviously been in the arts lane my whole life, and then someone shared this opportunity with me, and I thought, man, it's kind of like all these other things I did. Maybe that could be a good fit for me too. You know, kind of combining all those things, the leadership experience, the teaching, the arts lane, and all of my arts connections that I had in the state of Michigan, as well as at a national level. I thought that could be a real benefit for West Michigan Academy of Arts and Academics.
Yeah. So it's a K-8 charter school.
Yes.
So how does that, for families who are unfamiliar with that type of program, how does that differ from a public school environment?
So that's a great question, and that's something that I had when I was exploring this as well. And so what I learned is that a public school academy and a traditional public school are the same except for two things. One, there's the Teacher Tenure Act, which teachers that teach in a public school academy are not provided that legal protection under the law. And then the other thing is public school academies cannot get a bond. So they can't go to taxpayers to ask for money or
for
facilities
or what have you. Yeah.
Yes, but other than that, it's the same. All of our staff are certified. They're required to be certified. We're required to do standardized testing. We're held to the same expectations as traditional public schools. And also we're tuition free. So a lot of people that come to West Michigan Academy of Arts and Academics and have a tour, they're confident that it's a private school because we offer so many things like dance and musical theater and a lot of arts electives. They're shocked when they're like, this is free. Wait a minute. my kid could go here free. Yes, yes, they can. And so to me, those were the things that I learned. And it is smaller, a larger district. They do have more resources because they have more people.
Sure.
So they have a central office. But for us, we're a one building district, and we're awesome. We're just an amazing place to be, a great place for families, a very family environment. I think a real testament to our school is that so many of our staff have their own children there. And so to me, I think that's the ultimate acknowledgement that things are going pretty well at WAMA. And so it's a really awesome place.
Your curriculum includes all of the core academic subjects. It's just done so through an integration with the arts?
Yes, so we're held to the same standard again that other schools are. We teach the state curriculum, so we teach all the same standards that Michigan Department of Education require of traditional public schools. And so yes, we have all the core academics, and then our school's focus is arts integration. And so when it makes sense, we do arts integration. So for example, if you're doing a math lesson and you're talking about fractions, there's a logical music connection to that when you look at time signatures. So when you're doing that lesson, when there are connections, to make those connections, because research tells us that students learn best when it's authentic or when it's something that they feel connected to or good at or know about. And so if you have a climate of students who all are there and have experience and a love for some art, it's good, and it helps them learn more deeply and more meaningfully when there is an art connection for them. And so we triangulate that arts experience for our students. We push arts into the core, but we push core into the arts. And then we also integrate our arts into the arts as well. And so for us, we found that wrapping around our students, as well as providing high, rigorous core academic instruction, is really the best way to reach our students. And we have some phenomenal teachers. Our classroom teachers and our core content teachers, they're amazing. And so are our arts teachers, and they work really well as a team. We've created different ways to help train our core teachers to provide those arts areas support for them so that they feel more confident in doing that, but also vice versa, having our core teachers help our arts teachers be able to feel confident and feel good about providing that core content through their lens as well.
So we talked a little bit about how those art teachers, have followed students from kindergarten, all the way, certainly through middle school. And if they're fortunate enough to have the arts in high school, maybe even on to there. At West Michigan Academy, are you seeing that there is a greater because of the integration of the arts throughout those core classes and into the arts classes, do you find that the teachers have, even in those core classes, have a deeper relationship with the students throughout their schooling because they're integrated with the arts into their art classes? I guess I can just see that, for example, if you were in a math class with another student in a public school, you might not understand that they're musically inclined. But when you start integrating music into math class, suddenly you see a student in a new way.
That is a great question. And I just want to say at our school, at WAMA, it's more like a family. And so the teachers, because we're a one building district, one of the benefits of that is our students and teachers, they stay connected. And so our teachers are at the performances. They see that kid who might be struggling on the stage and is an amazing actor and dancer and singer and
you have a better understanding for these students and how you might be able to connect with them.
Yes, and it's so great to hear staff saying, "Wow, did you see so-and-so? Man, they've grown. I'm so proud of them." And so that closeness is really profound at our school. And it's something that I know that I pride myself on, but our staff is so proud of that. And actually they've taught me that by observing them, you know, because I'm learning from them and hopefully they're learning from me. And so it's just, that's a real thing. And it's just really great to see that connectedness stay. We just did our 8th grade graduation ceremony. And so all the staff go to that. And then we have what we call original students. And so those are students that have been with us from kindergarten through the 8th grade. And so they have a special recognition, and one of their previous teachers is on stage to welcome them. And so it's always a very emotional time for the students, but also for the staff.
Yeah.
You know, because even though they might not be in your classroom, they're not gone from you.
Right.
You still see them. You're still interacting with them. You're still clapping for them when they're on stage. You're still helping them. And so I feel like our team does just such a great job at that. Everyone.
You've talked about how the arts and music in particular engages the whole brain.
Yes.
That, how does that impact you know, a child's ability to learn?
So research is really strong. Brain research has just been growing leaps and bounds as we're learning more about how the brain works. And the research has discovered that one of the only activities that engages the whole brain is music. And, you know, because you're doing all the different modalities, you're listening, you're moving, you're, you know, when you're playing a instrument, you are blowing your air, you're articulating, your fingers are moving. So that coordination that's required really requires that whole brain. And so it really helps to mitigate some of those deficits that a child might have, like I did, poverty, you know, all of those things that a child can have. It really helps to mitigate that. As well as engage the child. And also research is also strong that if there have been parts of your brain that have become disconnected from an injury or from things like a stroke, that your brain can actually make those, like, reconnect with the proper work and the proper training. And it's really interesting. Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor's book, My Stroke of Insight, one of the ways that she gauged how she was progressing was through her ability to do art projects. Wow. And so it's really interesting how the arts really have just been connected to learning and can be a gauge of progress, but also a support when needed.
So have you found that students that come there to go to school are also discovering new talents? Or, you know, I mean, when their parents made this decision to have them go to school there, I mean, in some cases they're kindergartners.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we can all believe our child in kindergarten is an incredible artist, but at the end of the day, they might just be like any other kindergartner, right?
Yes.
But I would imagine with exposure, people are discovering all kinds of things about themselves. What stories can you share about that discovery?
I mean, we had a student that was on stage this year, and I mean, so at our school, all students, pre-K, we have a partnership with the YMCA. We have pre-K through the Y at our school where all students get arts instruction. So we have pre-K through 3rd grade, where all of our students get instrumental music, vocal music, musical theater, visual arts, 2D and 3D. They get dance. And so they get that once a week all through those grades. Then 4th and 5th grade, they get it for a marking period at a time, so they can get more of a concentration. Yes. Then in 5th grade, they choose a major.
Okay.
And so then in that...
I did not realize that.
Yeah, so then when they're in middle school, then they get their major every day, but then they also get a second arts elective. So if they have 2 arts
change
loves,
that arts elective
yes,
annually,
if they want to be in the
by
musical,
semester,
yeah, they can be in the musical. If they really love, musical theater, they can be a musical theater major, but they can still dance, or vice versa. So this was a 4 or 5 concert. So these are the kids that are, potentially going to be making their decisions. And there was, there was a student to me that was just like a shining star, and just like, you know, and there were several, but you know when a kid just really loves it, like you can see it in their eyes, like their body language, they're moving, they're, you know.
The
you can
confidence
tell,
is so fun to watch.
Yes. And so this student, this one particular that I'm thinking of, was just really, to me, like obvious, like a no-brainer. Like, okay, you should be a dance major.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing that, like, joy on your face, the love, the body moving, just like, to me, like, no, they're going to be a dance major. And then they said that they weren't. And I'm like, are you, like, I'm stunned right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes other people see us in a way other than how we see ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But that student was so outstanding on the stage, and so many adults had approached that child about what a great job they did. Guess what they ended up picking as their major? Dance.
That's awesome.
And
I thought you were going to
so-
shock me and tell me, you know, something else, but I love that. And you know, maybe, I mean, you have to believe that just, maybe they didn't have the confidence that they were exuding, but internally they didn't have the confidence to push themselves in that direction.
Yeah, and I think sometimes,
That's so awesome.
some of the beauty of the arts is that people see you differently, right?
Yeah.
People see you not always as you see yourself. And that's a good message for us leaders too, right? Because sometimes we see our people, our reports, whether they're teachers, administrators, or business people,
Right.
we may see them differently than they see themselves. And our job as a leader
Bring
is
that
to
out in them.
Yes,
Yeah, I love
to help
that.
them grow and develop, to realize that untapped, unrealized potential in them. Because I think that's one of the unspoken things in leadership that we don't really talk about, but it's so important, and good leaders all do that. You're always helping to grow people up and help them develop in a capacity to learn more and to be more. And it's just so exciting when you like see situations like that, whether it's an adult or a child, or it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see that and to see people, you know, discovering things about themselves that they didn't know, you know, and it could be the same for math or English or
Absolutely.
ability to read. I mean, it can be any of those things or
Right.
all of those things, you know. It's just so exciting. I mean, education is so great. You know, it really is a hard job, but it's also the best job.
Yeah.
I mean, when do you get to go to work and change people's lives?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
this work matters. It really does.
It's so incredibly inspiring to see the emotion that you have and the excitement that you have for your work. Did you expect this? I mean, you know, you made a point to say that you felt like you had set up, you know, set up your previous role for them to have that be sustainable, and that it was okay for you to leave, and you gave yourself that release to be able to do that so that you could, you know, this is your third act, right?
Yes.
And this is your third act. And to really come into that third act and take it as, you know, you have all this knowledge and all this experience that you bring to it, but you're clearly looking at it with fresh eyes. And it's really fun to see everything that you're getting out of it. It's really fun to see that, you know. I mean, I think as a leader, you hope that everyone else gets something out of your leadership, but can be lonely, right?
Yes.
I mean, talk about loneliness, and among your team, it can be lonely as a leader, but you're very obviously to me, gaining strength from what you're experiencing.
Yes.
You know,
I
with all the
mean,
people around you.
yeah, leadership sometimes is really hard, and it is lonely, but doing the right thing is sometimes difficult. You know, but somebody told me when I was a brand new administrator and I was taking a legal class, and they said, you'll know it's the right decision if you can sleep at night. Like, you know that you're doing the right thing, because sometimes the right thing isn't popular,
Right.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know, to make difficult decisions that can potentially impact an organization, that's going to change, that's going to upset people, or might result in maybe someone not having a position at your organization anymore. That's hard. But how do you do it? I mean, you have to think about who are you serving?
Yeah.
What is the mission of that organization? And staying true to that, like using that as your guiding light, and really using that to fuel and to get through those hard times, and then surrounding yourself by people that that you love and that you trust and you respect, right? And it's not necessarily the people that you're serving in that particular position or role. And I will say one thing I really love about West Michigan Academy of Arts and Academics is before, like in my job before this, I was in central office and it was a very large district, and I was very much disconnected from the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I love about my current role is I'm close to kids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not their teacher, but I see them.
Yeah.
I can go into a classroom. I hear them.
And you know
I
that the
meet with
work that
them.
you're doing is impacting their experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I get to meet with the student council and I get to hear their challenges, and, I go to their performances. And so to me, I feel like for myself, this is like the best.
Yeah.
This is the best of everything.
It's for
all
sure
the things I love.
culmination, right?
Yes.
Of all the things you love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that they chose me.
Yeah.
Because I don't take that for granted.
No.
They could have picked anyone and they chose me.
Well.
And so I feel like that weighs on me, and I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah.
Team, I hope you know that.
Yeah. Well, they made a good choice.
Yeah.
That's
well,
awesome.
thanks for that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, and I'm really working hard and just really value the opportunity, and really we're trying to do best for people's children that come there, and and one of my other mottos is if you can help. So if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out. If I can help, I will.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
one last question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could sit down with that little girl holding that little plastic guitar, what advice would you give her? I know.
I'm sorry, that's emotional.
It's okay. It's emotional because you care, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I would tell her to stay encouraged, to keep going. Everything's going to work out, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's awesome, Maggie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks.
It's really nice to meet you and hear
Yeah.
your story.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Inspire West Michigan. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us a review to help others find our show. Visit inspirewestmichigan.com and follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes stories. Until next time, stay inspired, West Michigan.